You'll have people that will plod along expecting you to tolerate behavior that's just not acceptable, and they know it. They'll push you along for as long as they can and expect you to be able to be there for them. But this isn't always the case. This isn't how it works a lot of the time. And as you're not there for them, this is when they go into retraction, devaluation, disintegration, punishment. They're going to punish you because they're not getting their needs met the way that they would like. Get out of it. Look, they're grubs, they're rodents. These dogs, get out of it. And because things aren't going the way that they would like, they use a strategy of detachment. They start to detach. And as they detach, you begin to feel punished because the bond, the closeness, the organization that you had, the arrangements that you had within the relationship are now being sabotaged by the person that you're supposed to be having the relationship with. And of course, this puts a terrible strain on your mental health, which then in turn affects your physical health. Mind, body, ailments and things like this begin to suffer. This person that you met originally is now somebody else, same person but with different behaviors and characteristics and things. But for some strange reason you think this is all going to work out, and people change. People change only to suit themselves. And sometimes they're going to stick with their addictions and drunkenness and bad behavior throughout the duration of their life. They'll make out they're going to change, they'll make out they're going to try and do this and do that, but there'll be something or someone in the background influencing them to stay on their path of destruction, and they will. He's alright. Hank! Hank! And then, when you realize that you've got yourself in a situation that you didn't plan on, that you've been deceived by a person that made out that they were going to be there for you and love you and bring you a happy, healthy and wholesome life. The next thing, they're playing on your finances, they're wasting your time running around after them. You're trying to manage them like a child. You've met a child and they're beginning to run you down. Now this is an indication, as soon as somebody begins to run you down, that you don't want to be with that person. You've got to get out and away from that person. You cannot stay with this person because that's not the object of a relationship. The object of a relationship is not to be stressed or in anguish or wrestling with them psychologically to get them to do things that are part of the responsibility of having a relationship in the first place. These people are not going to be that way. That's all there is to it. They're not going to. I've seen this with family members of my own I've watched them smoke themselves to death at young ages, drink themselves to death at young ages, with a determination and a frequency that even the devil himself would be surprised at. They end up in hospital, sick, deceived, and still determined to carry on with their habits until they finally pass away. And you will see these people outside the hospitals with drips and things hanging out of them, smoking and carrying on. So on the one hand, they're trying to get better, whilst on the other hand, they're hurting and destroying themselves. And this happens all the time. This is a common form and a common way in which these type of behaviours play out. A lot of these people are functioning addicts. They know how to camouflage themselves in the society, and this is where you'll run into them. They love the dating sites. The dating sites are just a menu log for empty meat suits to find supply. They've got no intention of doing anything positive for themselves or anybody else. And of course, this is where your life begins to be affected, and you'll suffer all sorts of things: headaches, confusion, anxiety, and these can lead to you having an accident, a serious accident. Because these people don't care about how all this is going to affect you. They've only got their mind set on how they're going to play out their connection with you, and that is to push you as far as they can until you finally give in, wear out, and then have to deal with, come on Hank, come on, and then have to deal with the consequences of their fallen nature working within them through their passions and desires and lusts. That's how it works out. And it's a cycle that doesn't change. It's a continual cycle that is uphill. Nobody can beat it, nobody can conquer it, nobody can overcome it. Hank, come on mate. Come on Hank, good boy. Come on. And it all goes downhill, it all goes pear-shaped, because you've got to understand, a lot of these relationships are founded on chance. One night stands that have gone sexual and the sex has been okay, and therefore this gives way to the possibility of being a partner, or not a partner, but more of a form of supply, a form of good supply. Now, if one person's looking at what's happened as making something into a future, and that doesn't eventuate by way of the dysfunction and the incapability of that person being able to do that, this is where it all gets complex and the trauma starts and people get into trouble. Because on the one hand you have somebody that thinks they're building something substantial, but on the other hand you have somebody that's hasn't got the capability of that happening in the first place. The answer to it all is to detach relative to the things that you don't like, because that's what they'll be doing. That's where the misbehavior is coming from. They're detaching instead of attaching. They're putting a devaluation on you, and they'll start to push your boundaries and what you're prepared to put up with, and they'll push until you totally detach from that person, call it a day, leave them alone, leave them alone, get on with your life, and realize that you got dudded you got with the wrong person.